fraud is in all 50 states. However, a large majority of the fraud is taking place inside these deep blue cities and deep blue states. For instance, Minnesota, California, and New York.
I don't think that's true either, to be honest. I just don't. In Chinese philosophy has a very strong fundamental common core value, which is 个人自扫门前雪, right? Like, I don't know, the way to translate it is like deal with your own household first. Get your own household in order before you deal with the world. Hey guys, welcome back to Common Sense. This is Dave, and today we're going to talk about how Chinese immigrant or Chinese community see Nick Shirley, right? Basically, how common sense Chinese guys who were born and raised in China for half his life come to America, live here, assimilate into the culture, how we see Nick Shirley, how we see this big cultural shift and how his position is in the society. Let's take a look.
Make this video. However, I do believe that is important to make to show you guys how truly radical, how violent, and how extreme people have become in today's society to the point where they're openly making death threats on the streets of New York City.
By the way, death threats are like everywhere. I was a gaming creator. I make games videos, and I got death threats for talking about the game. Literally, I think like the society is so crazy. We made videos talking about. I think I was talking about like how certain regions or certain teams were bad at the game or whatnot because like we watch a tournament. Well, actually, it's not a region; it's specifically related to a team, and then how certain region need to improve this specific areas. And then I just get hate talks in the comments, death threats, right? In the private DMs all over. And when certain things happened, there was some dramas that happened in my community in the past, and we got death threats as well. And then later on, they find out like we were doing something good. And then the perpetrator, the stupid person who were just like making stupid shit accusations about me, a false accusation about me online, nobody apologized. I think people just made death threats because there's no cause to it. I feel like if you make death threats, I hope there's something like their name tag being displayed on their head. Say death threats with your name being displayed, and let's see what the law says, right?
In New York working on a new video. However, I had a day off, so I was going up towards Central Park to meet up with a buddy to go work out. I had just gone off the subway around 57th Street, and as soon as I get off the subway, I look up and this man is walking his dog, and he looks at me and he says, "Nick Shirley, F you." And I said, "Hey, come back, let me talk to you." And he continues to.
This is fine. I mean, when somebody say like, "F you," I think the first thing that you want to do is just, "Oh, okay." If it was me, I would just, "Oh, okay, well, thank you." That means you're famous. Nick Shirley is really famous, by the way, right? So if that happened to you, you're famous. And he has security now, which is even cooler. But also it's really, really sad. Like, by the way, for the content, those who did not know him, which by no way, right? Everybody knows him. This guy investigated fraud. And then from all we can see on the videos, it's pretty common sense stuff. And anyone who's against that type of stuff, I wouldn't know like what is going on in your brain, right? Because he has not done anything racist or bad. He has just been investigating fraud. If anything, everyone's paying taxes. Like we are all paying taxes, insane amount of taxes, and then which is super weird because I thought America's against taxes was built. The nation was built for anti-taxation, and now the tax is insane, especially in certain states. Federal taxation is crazy, and we don't know what they do with the money, right? But all this guy does is investigate fraud where all the tax money is going to. And if you pay taxes, I think anyone who pay into taxation system, who pay into taxes, would be plotting that shit, right? Like, oh, snap. We got someone investigating fraud? Like, can we get some, like my thought after what Doge did or Nick Shirley did is like, can we get some clawback? That's number one. Number two, why is nobody in jail, right? Still, only the lower level people in Minnesota were in jail. Nobody else in jail, right? And we just don't understand what the hell's going on after that. Like how big, how deep this whole goal where nobody's in jail. It's just crazy, right? But still, like death threats on this, it's kind of insane that now American society, so quote unquote freedom of speech, and it's all BS. This lie is being fed to you. Oh, you get freedom of speech. Look at what happened to Charlie Kirk. Look what happened. Like people are literally giving Nick Shirley the Charlie Kirk treatment right now. And that's so crazy to me, This American side is supposed to be free speech and sharing up public square, sharing opinions. And right now, it's just all I see as an observer, just anything outside of it. is anything but free speech. Like you do this in China, talking about societal issues. In China, obviously everybody understands the rule. You don't talk about politics, but you talk about societal issues. You're not gonna face like actual violence. In here, in America, you actually face actual violence, and that's the biggest difference.
Yell and scream and storm off. I eventually pulled my camera, and this is the initial reaction I had with this man.
The tell your bodyguard to step down. Come up there. You. Why? Oh.
And he looks very Chinese or Vietnamese, right? But he looks, from the way he looks, like I can kind of tell he's Chinese, but I can't guarantee that. But he for sure is not a Chinese immigrant. You know, he looks more like a second generation, like someone who's born here, like a descendant of a Chinese immigrant.
You the best, man. We love you, man.
That's right.
You too. You too. Hey, keep walking, you little poodle.
The man goes completely unhinged. He starts yelling, screaming, cussing, and then he even says, "I will effing find you."
By the way, I can't believe they recorded this. They're really good at capturing content. I wish my content crew understand the moment that need to be captured. Certain moments when this happens, like, you know what pissed me off? Like, because we do production, right? We're on sites, and when we see like certain emotional moments that you're like, you just, immediately when you saw it, like, doesn't matter how bad it is. Like, we're the media crew. And if I were there, the first thing I do is, hold on. Where's my camera, right? Like, I'll just be looking for my camera, like, start shooting, right? Because, like, that stuff is invaluable. Your job there is to capture the stuff that's happening. And then, like, their crew is really good. Because you have the intuition to immediately pick up your camera and then capture this, capture everything unfolding. That's insane to me, right? That's why they're the professionals. You know, like, it pisses me off sometimes when, like, I have to teach this to my crew. But we do, and we get better. Right?
However, at the same time, you have somebody next to him saying, "He's the best, we love you, man." But this guy continues to keep screaming and yelling, and he makes his way all the way to the other side. And after that, we continue walking for a sec, and then I told my security guard, I said, "No, I'm going back. I'm going back." Because
he has a security guard. You know, that's good and bad, by the way. Certain times when you have security guard, you know you're rich. In this case, I don't know if that's a good thing, right? Because a lot of people have security guards for different reasons. In this case, he's actually worried about his life. That's really sad in America, to be honest.
the man had just barely yelled, "Hey, you're going to get kirked next," from the other side of the street. And once he said that, I said, "Nope, we're going back. We're confronting this man." My security guard says, "No, Nick, just let it go." I said, "No, people need to understand how truly radical and how violent these people have become."
See, this is where I believe it's not rational. So he should have listened to the security guard. It's 100% not rational. I think he's doing it because he has a content mind, and he's doing it for content. There's no rational in any rational world. If I was a father, for example, I brought my kid, and my kid is Nick Shirley, right? And this situation happens, my first reaction is, let's haul out of here, right? Because this is actually a crazy society we live in. Number one thing you got to understand is survive, all right? You got to have the instinct to survive. I feel like the society we live in right now, people don't care about the survivability anymore. When they see a crime being committed, when they see mass shooting, the first thing they do is take out a camera. By the way, when I say take out a camera, I meant the production shoot on gaming site, all right? I'm not talking about this, right? But obviously this is what they do. They have multiple people doing different jobs. That's different. And then obviously you're not seeing immediately that, like, that's not a life and death situation there. But obviously when somebody's doing that kind of stuff, you need to capture, record, and leave, get out of there, right? Save it, show the police, let the police handle it. If the police didn't handle it, then you go online and let the court of public opinion handle it, right? The walking up to someone who publicly threatened to kill you is stupid. Because, like, in my 30-something years, I'm not going to show my age. In my 30-something years, I have never successfully convinced anyone. Never. Not even once. I don't remember once, right? Never happened. Even if they come ask for help and you tell them, okay, this is what I recommend you do. And then because we've done it, right, in the past, and they still do something completely different. You know, just do something completely different. Because I think we all learn, including myself, because I do the same, you know. But I actually try to learn, and I read books, and I implement the stuff I learn from the books a lot. And what I do see is, like, most best teacher is your experience. That's why after you read, you got to immediately learn how to use it, implement it in your life. That's why in my book reading channel, and make sure to follow my book reading channel, why wouldn't you, right? And we can study together. And right now I'm changing the content structure. In the end, I will always talk about how you can implement what we just summarized in your day-to-day life, because that's more important than just reading a book. Oh, that sounds good, and you forget about it the next day. The most important thing is how to implement it, you know?
Then go and confront this man. I said, hey, why don't you like me?
And it's pointless. This is just dangerous. The only thing you get out of it is more danger and more hate. There's never gonna be, you can never convince them. The only time these type of people will change their mind is when their life is put in danger, right? Like basically, because he's threatening somebody else, and then the mob will eventually mob at them, right? Because the mobs usually led, think about this logic, right? Because in a mob, nobody trusts each other. Literally no one, right? The leaders will kill their brothers to protect their authority in the mob. And this is so true. Nobody trusts each other in most of the cases. So if you think about in a mob mentality, only time the mob will change his mind is when he got the same treatment from his own mob, you know? So if you want this person's mind to be changed, you can never just leave. The only time they will change is when they got mobbed, all right?
And this is what happened.
By the way, he has never done that. I don't know where he got his information. He's clearly brainwashed, right? Because I have never seen that. There's a lot of news online, you know, being spread recently from major media painting Nick Shirley as a guy who is something phobic, this phobic, that phobic. But he never really was. Obviously, his action have shown a lot of crime that focus on center minorities. But to be honest, if that minority, is not a minority, it's quote unquote Caucasian and white people, it's gonna be happier. I'm pretty sure he will be happier, right? Because like for him, he just want to discover the crime, especially if it exposes certain high level management who is involved, who's happened to be Caucasian. That's actually better for his case. But it just happened to involve a lot of minorities from a specific group in Minnesota, specifically Somalian, right? No one's happy about it, but that's exactly what happened. It's objectively true. It's not like he just handpicked, let's go to a Somalian community and do this. He will go to a place where fraud was crazy. And when he was obviously investigating it, it just so happened Somalian came out. It's a reverse logic. It's not the other way around. Because like, I don't think people cared about it's a Somalian, not Somalian, you know? Like if it's a Chinese community, he would do the same. Is say he Chinese phobia? I wouldn't say that, right? Like, and by the way, Chinese people actually, I don't think Chinese people hate each other, but if there is crime that happened within Chinese community, Chinese people were the first people to come out and be like, yo, he did it. Like that's actually what's gonna happen, right? So this is not, like when we see it, like 100% is not targeting any specific community. It's just that in that specific area, that specific crime is centralized in this community, which makes sense because like minority help each other. If you find out there's a lucrative fraud that you can just get money for doing absolutely nothing, you would tell your friends about it, and friend tell a friend, friend tell a friend. Everybody's making money because American government has infinite amount of money. That's why. Well, you shouldn't save a lot of US dollars because it's BS, right? Because you can be printed 100% and they just like print infinite amount of money to give to all kinds of fraud. And by the way, for those people who are giving fraudulent money, I don't think they even do it with like a bad intention. They might not even be involved in the scam, to be honest. Unless the full investigation come out, you can never say somebody just 100% involved in the scam. They might did it with actually good intention, but the issue is intention never actually come in fruition with the best results, right? Because if I know certain ways I can just like scam money, which I never found out, right? I'm a very unlucky person. But if I knew there's a way you can just scam money, everybody would do it. Like think about you who are watching right now. If you know there's an easy way to get money, you will do it 100%, right? Nobody wants a hard way in life. Everybody wants the easy way in life. That's just common sense.
Yes, you have. I've seen your videos. The way you framed it is bullshit. Hey, you too. Thank you. How did I frame it? That was bullshit. There's a bunch of racists over here. You.
He gets extremely upset and starts yelling.
Yeah, he's get really racist. Like what was that? Like what was that? I watch her videos and then well, then give some substance, right? Say something that's subject. Obviously, if you're actually in a conversation now and this person asking you, say something solid, like being an actual argument where you have something solid to say. Don't just yell at people. That's just impolite.
Yelling and cursing at anyone that comes around me. And then he can't even give a single example about why he thinks I'm Islamophobic or racist.
They say silence, be quiet.
Yeah, that's what they want. That's what they want.
Obey,
What do you want to talk about? What do you want to
obey.
say?
That's what they want.
What do you want to say? I'm listening.
Okay, how am I racist or Islamophobic?
Dude, what do I got to pull up 90 clips of you?
Me saving taxpayer dollars?
Saving taxpayer dollars. You know what, man? You. And get out of New York, man.
No, you should come.
Stay in Florida. Where are you from? Where do you live?
America. Stay in Florida. He says stay in Florida. Brother, you can't just this blue and red association with people's actions is so funny. Because like I don't think any of these kids actually associated with any parties, to be honest. But it is an interest. End of the day, it is an interest kind of association, right? Like if I'm doing something, and Trump is a perfect example of this. I don't truly think Trump is Republican or Democrat at all. He just leveraged the Republican platform to run his campaign. But if you really think about it, because we're an observer, we're outsider, we're learning about the political system, right? He's a really smart business person. And he just leveraged whatever platform was going to help get him elected because he's very goal-oriented. And if you think about what he said and what in the past and what he believed, he's actually a very progressive person, super progressive. He's not he's not leaning philosophically leaning super right at all, right? I think he supports gay marriage. You can be as gay as you want. A lot of his top executives, all females, right? This guy socially is actually quite progressive, and everybody loved him because he was a funny guy, you know. But now America is so divided to a point where you automatically associate people's philosophy with parties. It's not all black and white and party blue or red. A lot of time it's just common sense, right? If you have an actual argument, say the argument. Don't just put people together in a one basket. That's just stupid. If anything, so far the conversation have just shown stupidity from this guy's side. But I would say it's very, very stupid for Nick Shirley to go up to him to begin with because it's super, super dangerous. And it put a security guy in a really dangerous position too. Because if this guy actually is intended for violence, I mean, like, why? Because usually security guard, they want to be there, but they're praying nothing happens, right? I mean, they don't want to get into trouble. It's like you hire a security guard, yo, I'm gonna pay you, and then you hire them to do a certain job, but you when you get to the job, hey, you never said we're in middle of the war zone, right? So that's basically what's happening.
What makes you so you too? Seriously, you. You're lucky. You know, it's really smart. You have a bodyguard. It's really smart. Yeah, you're right. Because there are crazy people like me that don't like racists. That would do something about it. That would do something about it.
But do something about it. He didn't do anything.
90 clips of you? Hold one clip. One clip. Hold one. Hey, Nick Shirley, there's homophobic racist over here. I'm gonna say.
Dude, he's actually so far just being completely impolite and yelling like a Karen. On the middle, I would never yell in the middle of the street like this, right? Unless we're making a short video. Even then, I wouldn't do it. It's so embarrassing. This is just embarrassing.
I try to give him multiple opportunities to say why he thinks I'm Islamophobic or racist, and he cannot even give one example. Instead, he just starts to continue to scream out in public that Nick Shirley is an Islamophobic or racist. This is a tactic that the left uses, or not even the left, just these radicalized individuals, where they yell it and say it loud.
Yeah, I wouldn't categorize him as left either, right? But he's for sure radicalized. Like, he's really angry for no reason.
Enough to the point where they actually believe it, and they make the other people around them believe it as well.
And you notice that nobody else is actually listening to him. Like, they just feel embarrassed. Oh my God, why is this happening in front of me? And oh my God, why is some popular? Or some people may think, oh my God, this is happening in front of me. You know, like it might be a different kind of attitude, but nobody cares, you know, because I believe most people are common sense, but most people just don't want to get into a political process, which is like me. I hate politics. I really do. But I also like them. It's a love and hate relationship. I hate it because how stupid it is. I love it because it's funny, you know, because you just watch people getting radicalized and you're like, how stupid. Like you observe them like they're sheeps. Like, do people actually function like sheeps? And they do. And you're surprised. You know, that's actually me from an outsider perspective. Like, oh my God, people are actually just sheeps. And because you see them getting radicalized for no reason. They're clearly brainwashed for some weird ass stuff that's happening, right?
You don't have to save us money. You don't have to save us any
No, that he didn't speak for us, all right? I want my money saved. Like, anyone watching this, all right, I don't know how you think. I want my money saved. I don't want to speak for you. I don't want to speak for anyone. I want my money saved. I do not want to pay taxes. I think you don't either, but I don't want to speak for you. This guy's speaking for quote unquote us. I think you should shut the hell up. You just speak for yourself, all right? If you want to say I don't want you to save me taxes, that's fine. Don't say us, all right? I'm not part of it. I want my taxes being saved. I think most of the taxes are criminal, or just stuff that happened that we didn't agree with. I was like, I never signed up to this for some of the taxes, right? But we still have to pay for it because it's required by law, so it is what it is.
Yo, you want the fraud not real? The fraud's not real. Not the way you framed it. Not the way you framed it. Sure isn't. Dude, you live in there's gonna be things that fall through the cracks sometimes. It's not the way you frame it.
He says some things just fall through the crack and that it's not real because the way I framed it.
So he's making it sound like this is okay just because it fall through the crack, quote unquote. It's not okay if it fell through a crack because on a national scale, we're talking about hundreds, if not more, billions of dollars. Bro, fall through the crack to your brother here, okay? I want to be in that crack. Show me the crack, bro. What is going on? Like, how is this okay? Every time we see a politician getting tens of millions of donations from these organizations and NGOs, you're like, brother, like, get me in that crack, man. Like, using his word. Like, sometimes shit just fall through the cracks sometimes. I mean, I don't know. This is such a weird thinking process. Because there's so much money involved. It doesn't matter.
Well, it's pretty obvious the fraud was real. They just found $90 million of it. They had the largest autism bust of all time in the United States history. And they just charged a lady who actually had received the most amount of money for daycares inside of Minnesota. So the fraud is very, very, very much real. But these people don't want to say that it's real because it...
By the way, regarding fraud, like, we're in esports, right? I'm comparing everything with my life experiences. So if you see something that's completely wrong, make sure to let me know in the comment section. If you see something that you have your own anecdotal story you want to share, let me know in the comment section. Because, like, I do believe everyone look at same thing from a different angle, right? We're in a lucky and privileged position to being a computer watching this situation unfold. But a lot of people don't have this access, grew up differently, so I can totally understand they might look at things completely differently. Maybe the crack, the money that actually fell through the crack actually did something good. That can for sure happen, right? Help some poor family. It might happen, but it's not how it's supposed to happen, you know. And it's for sure not fair because nobody agreed to have that money being signed up to be used that way. And to be honest, I don't think any of those so-called NGOs should exist. I don't think any of those so-called government organization who is sending the money should exist. If certain money is decided to be spent in certain area, all the administrators who are administrating this money should be gone. They should just be sent by AI and computer systems. Like, we're in such an advanced society now. Why do we still do this like the same way we did 100 years ago? There's so much opportunity for fraud. And speaking from someone coming from an esports background, I can tell you if there's any chance for a tiny bit of a room for like BS, right? For quote unquote, in this sense, relative, similar to this fraud, people will utilize them in a game system. You will imagine, like, okay, because we're in a mobile community, right? Play 5-on-5, and then you would think, okay, it's fun to compete like fairly, right? Because that's it's a game. It's not real. Why would you try to cheat in a game? Then what's the point of the game? It's not fun anymore, right? It's only fun if you obey the rule and compete based on skill. You would think that's the common sense. But what actually happened as an organizer for the past a decade, 10 years of experience, professional experience in the industry, I can tell you, if there is a crack the players can fall through where they can cheat, they will cheat. If you assume that players are innocent, you cannot be further from the truth, okay? They will cheat on every single opportunity they can find to cheat. That's why we don't use a trust system. Trust is stupid, which I also find it kind of funny because everything in America, a lot of it is all about trust. You say who you are, they believe you are who you are. They don't check ID sometimes. A lot of times you just say stuff and they believe, oh, okay, well, I guess you are who you are. Like, a lot of times when you go online and they say, oh, are you 18 years old and above? You click on yes. And you are. You don't need to be. Right? It's our trust system. But this is stupid, and that's why Bitcoin is so valuable, because Bitcoin don't use trust system, use something called a verification system. It verifies the transaction, use proof of work, right? It doesn't trust anyone or anything. You know, I don't know why I'm discussing Bitcoin. However, the thing that the guy was saying, the Asian guy was saying, was just BS. Like from any people with common sense. You don't have to be Chinese with a Chinese background to understand this. This is common sense. When there is fraud, when there's opportunity for fraud, people are gonna leverage it. No matter who they are, how nice they are, free. Nobody's gonna say no to free $10 million. Let me just be 100% real. All right, anyone, a lot of the people who is accusing the fraud of happening, including me, are simply feeling like this is just not fair because I'm not part of it, you know? And it is, and nothing wrong with that. I just admit it as it is, because we're not part of it. You're giving all these people money and they're getting rich, and we work here super hard, made every penny, and yet we have to pay taxes, IRS, deal with, like, if you miss a little bit of money, they send you a freaking warning and be like, yo, you missed $2. What about all the fraud that's happening? Because we're not part of it, right? It's super unfair that you work so hard for your money, government takes a certain percentage, and you don't know why you're paying that. You're still paying it, right? The property tax. I don't have kids who are going to school, but you're still paying for it because you're going to, supposedly. But what if I move? Where do I get the money, right? Because I'm thinking about moving. Same as the people who already have their kids, they're still paying property taxes here. You know, tell me if that's fair, right? Like, it's not, obviously not. And the fact that if you don't pay the property tax, by law, you're gonna lose your house. So the so-called you own your house is all bullshit in Texas, right? It's not. You don't own your house. You don't own nothing. You own nothing. And you're happy for it. So I'm just giving you common sense take. And this guy is thinking like he's clearly coming from a bad faith. Obviously, if there's fraud, people are going to take advantage of it. What do you mean, like, fall through the crack? Yeah, like, let a crack fall on me, right? Like, bro, give your brother some money.
Breaks their entire logic. But this is where
I work too hard for my money. I work too hard, okay? I work too hard. And I like to walk outside because I'm a really outdoor person. And I go to a community, and I go to our trail review channel where me and my wife would go on the trails and review trails. And recently we walked through some richest zip code, and you look at all those houses and you just wonder, how do you ever make that much money to own a house like that, right? How do you ever? Like, we work so hard, and yet the video is getting like 10 views, you know? Like, how do you ever get that much money? I don't understand.
Super interesting when I ask him, well, what have you done to help society?
How? What have you done different? How do you help society? Oh, I help society? Okay. I want you to go into any leftist organization, show them my photo, they'll know who I am. Okay, makes perfect sense.
Oh, so basically he just admitted he is super political, right? I want to say that. This is kind of bragging. It's so stupid. And by the way, like, this is actually a deeper psychology of how criminals like to get caught. A lot of criminals like to get caught. They feel like they have done something amazing, but if nobody appreciates what they did, it's a deeper human psychology, right? I want to be appreciated. No matter how bad the things I did, it's always the criminals want to do self-snitching. You know, I think there was a lawyer on YouTube who like always say, like, don't self-snitch. This is clearly a self-snitch situation. Like, he just basically said, he first of all showed himself on camera, yelled in public, and then bragged about stuff that he shouldn't have bragged about. The dog doesn't want to be there. Look at the dog.
When he says, show my face to any leftist organization, they'll know who I am, it is very telling about who these leftist organizations are supporting. These are radicalized individuals, like this man right here, who's openly making death threats on the streets of New York City. That's who these leftist organizations are supporting.
Hey, give me one clip.
Well, I don't know about that, right? I just don't know. I don't know this person's affiliation with those organizations, but I just think the bragging is stupid, you know, because if anything, sending death threat is, I don't know if it's legal at all. It's freedom of speech, but I don't think that covers, you know, death threat. I think it doesn't, right? And then you're revealing yourself, you're giving more information about yourself. It's stupid for him to approach this guy. It's stupid for this guy to stop and start a conversation with Nick Shirley. It's just fun for us to watch, I guess.
I have a rec league basketball game at 7. Walking the dog. You want me to go through this shit? I'm fucking fine here. You know when you're treating your dog. My dog's fine. My dog's fine. Yeah. You mind sprinkling your dog?
Look at the dog. He's afraid of him.
Yeah, the dog's fine. Well, you want to say hi? Want to say hi to Nick Shirley? Want to say hi to Nick Shirley?
Now, the only funny part about this interaction is how much the dog did not want to be with his owner. In fact, the dog wanted to be with me. I actually feel very bad for this dog because obviously this dog does not like his owner. And really quickly,
Yeah, because I feel like the reason why the dog doesn't want to be with the owner, because the guy was clearly, I don't know if it's the owner, by the way, but the guy was clearly jerking the dog around because he's emotional. And you can see him pacing around, and he's probably like pulled the string very hard randomly, and then any dog would be uncomfortable in that situation, right? And obviously you train your dog, so the dog, you always walk next to you. However, in this situation, I feel bad for the puppy because like the dog just clearly doesn't want to be there. He's being pulled and doesn't want to be pulled randomly like that because probably feel the jerking motion really hard. What a sad situation.
I get lots of messages from you guys who want to help support my work and also people who want to expose fraud inside their own communities. And to do that, we built a website called antifraudclub.com. And part of that website is a weekly newsletter that we put out as we track what goes on here inside the United States. It's completely free, cool. And you can go ahead and sign up at antifraudclub.com. All you have to do is put your email above and you'll get weekly emails. And on that site, we also...
You know, they use the example of rickbobby@gmail.com. Yes, maybe somebody actually called Rick Bobby and he has an email called rickbobby@gmail.com. I wonder how many emails you'll receive now.
Have our merch that's available as well, and other ways to donate and to support as well for those that want to get involved. Go ahead and check out antifraudclub.com. It's the pinned comment down below. The link is also in the description.
You know, there's another thing I noticed about American society in general. Speaking about the generosity and supporting each other, the community vibes. This is actually way beyond like Chinese community can comprehend when they come here. When they first come here. When I first come here, I couldn't comprehend this culture. After living here for 20 years, I truly feel it, right? And it's just an awesome thing. Like when people believe in certain things and they want to support a cause, people donate money to it, even though they don't have money. People are super generous here, you know? It's just a really nice thing to have. And then it speaks to the larger American community and what a good foundation this country has built on. I just feel bad the direction of the country because it's being pulled really hard from the two sides politically. And it's clearly the people at the top leveraging this and weaponizing it. Because most of the people I know are very common sense people. And nobody wanted this. Nobody want this. Now, none of us want to be involved in this political BS, right? Would you want to see the country prosper? Nobody want to see homeless people on the street. Nobody want to see the street dirty. Nobody want to smell weed when they're walking on a trail. Nobody want to see that. That's just common sense, right? And nobody want to see some petty crime being, penalized really heavily. Either, like, nobody want to see people getting bullied for what they believe either. But that's just part of the society. But that's part of any society, you know? And at the end of the day, it's like how the people at the top is able to weaponize it and just use it in bad faith, for their own power, for their own gains. And what like every time when I watch this type of things, the only thing that I just feel bad about is how the sheeps are just being sheeps and being used and not think at all, not using any common sense. Like maybe because all the drug babies, people are just brain impaired. I don't know. Like on both sides, like either way, it's just like not thinking for themselves, leveraging common sense. How does certain thing make sense? It doesn't. And people should just follow it. Look at what's going on in LA right now. I was asking my friend actually, but this is something we can discuss deeper. And asking my friend, because I have a lot of friends living in LA, I have, clients living in LA, and I'll ask them about what's happening in LA, about the votes or what's going on, and all that kind of stuff. By the way, 100% of people I asked about a few of four or five of them. Not a single person voted. They actually just didn't vote. I don't know if they're actually on the ballot, but they didn't vote. What I meant is like if they actually are eligible to vote, they all are. They're all Americans who can vote. But actually in America, in California, you should be eligible to vote. You don't even need an ID. But like the thing is like nobody voted. And by the way, all of them are Chinese immigrants, right? They're all American citizens, and then none of them voted because they don't care. Not a single person cared. Situations are like they either don't live in the area because Chinese community is centralizing a specialized community. Not specialized, just like a very centralized community, and they care more about their own community than anything outside. Another thing is when they see stuff on the street, people don't care. Like in Chinese philosophy, has a very strong, fundamental, common core value, which is 个人自扫门前雪, right? Like I don't know, the way to translate it is like deal with your own household first. Get your own household in order before you deal with the world. That's what we are taught growing up. And I think it's something I still believe in a lot of the Chinese households just believes, right? It's like, it's none of your business most of the time Let other people be them. But you just make sure you be the better version of you, right? Deal with you. Make sure your family is taken care of. That's the biggest contribution to the society. Don't try to worry about other people's issues. Don't put your hand in other people's issues. That's what we're taught. And then in a lot of ways it's good, in a lot of ways it's bad. For example, in LA elections right now, none of them are happy about what's going on the street, right? Because everybody can go to Santa Monica and see it's a complete shithole, third world country over there. None of them care. Not a single person voted. Not a single person cared. And that's why they say Chinese are the rich, free votes they can get, because everybody can be easily swayed. Oh, can you vote for me? Can you sign this? Little do they know they're signing their freedom away, and nobody knows, right? So, because I did that in my neighborhood even, right? Sometimes when I got to vote, in the past, when I voted for HOA, I don't even know what I voted for. It's just that person came into my house, knocked on the door, hey, I want to clean the grass outside, and I voted. Now I realize it's a mistake, right? But I think it's stuff that we learn as we grow older and mature, and start caring more about the community.
And now let's get back into the video.
Give me one example. Give me one example, sir. Oh my God, bro, I gotta go.
You don't give examples. Silence and obey. Silence and obey.
Go hang out the leaders, why don't you? Yo, someone's gonna find you. I promise you. For what?
Oh my God.
Someone's gonna find you one day. Right here. Right here.
Brother.
Crazy.
Psych.
I am this stuff is like, bro, this stuff is bad. This stuff is that signal is bad. This type of stuff, like such a gang behavior. This doesn't belong in a civilized society. This person, and I don't know if this is a police officer right here. It seemed like he just like directing the traffic. That should not be allowed. He should be apprehended and dealt with in a court of law. Like this should not be allowed in a civilized society, in a developed country like America. This is such a shame.
He then says that somebody's going to find me and says somebody's going to find you right here, and does a gunshot to his neck, implying that somebody's going to shoot me or kill me, for instance. It's very weird to live through these experiences or through these circumstances, and that's why I want to make this video, to show you guys just how truly radicalized these individuals are, to the point where they're making death threats openly in the streets of New York City.
And it's so sad, right? Because New York used to be a city that everybody wants to go. Now, like all the major cities in America, they all have become memes. Like, I don't know if you notice, but right now, all the immigrants, most of them are just Indians coming to America because it's such a big opportunity for them. And because India is really, really poor. Chinese people don't even want to come here anymore. If you've never been to China, you really don't know how behind America is in a lot of ways. Like, a lot of Chinese people don't want to come here anymore. That's why the immigration rate have dropped so much. Like, people would rather live in China because there are much more opportunities in like bigger cities. The stuff are cheaper, more convenient, and technology cannot be better, right? You go to Shenzhen, literally live in freaking, I wouldn't say Zootopia, right? Because just modern technology, robotics, drones, everything is instant, everything is convenient, everything is same-day delivery for a fraction of the price. The food you can eat out every day. Remember the good old days people talk about in America? I've never experienced those, but people say that you can eat out every day in the past, right? But that's basically China right now. You go eat out really delicious food for $1 or $2. Like, that will get you full. Any major cities, right? Any major city, any delivery service is insane here. Like, we're dealing with not just taxation, but also all this insane amount of tip culture that's dehumanizing. But I mean, that's a story for another time. The idea is, the reason why I constantly bring it up is I want to show a comparison of culture to let you understand. Because if you don't have a baseline to understand, you will never know where America is right now. And America truly fallen behind, which just make me, culturally too, it has declined so much. This is such a sad thing to see. Like, this type of stuff, this type of behavior, it's sad. It's just pathetic. It's
They
sad.
feel emboldened to do it. In fact, they don't even fear the police officer who's right next to this man.
Yeah, this is, okay, it says NYPD actually. Yeah, that's just more unfortunate. The police officer is actually standing next to him. He's doing nothing.
That's another crazy thing about this, is you have this guy making a death threat, and you have an NYPD officer right there just listening to all this take place, and he doesn't do anything about it.
Yeah.
And so when we talk about radicalized,
But yeah, but I forgot to mention while I was saying that America's major top cities are just turning into shit. Nobody want to go to those cities anymore. It's not fun. Like, only a few, probably one out of, I don't know, gazillion friend I have still back home want to go to LA or New York. Because all this stuff that's happening, you would think it's only America that know about this. No, the entire globe is watching America. This is literally the leader of the free world. Everybody used to be, when I was a kid, everyone aspired to come here. Everybody want to go to America to study and to stay here, get a job, immigrate, all that kind of stuff. No one want to do that anymore. No one want to go to New York. You saw the crime. Their family didn't want their kids to go. Nobody want to come. And there's better opportunities in China mainland, which is such a sad thing because I fall in love with this land. I love the culture, the people here. And then this is not, a lot of times you feel like, what is happening here? This is not what was promised.
As individuals here inside the United States. I've talked about this before. We have about 350 million people here inside the United States. So let's just say that 1% of the United States become radicalized. And let's just say it's 3 million people. 3 million people becoming radicalized is extremely dangerous, actually. And then if you break down that one.
By the way, this 1% number is BS, right? Because I don't think that many people are radicalized. I think a large amount of people this number is probably in the 0.01% or something like that. People drastically overestimate or exaggerate in the favor of their arguments, and that's what Nick Shirley is doing here. I frequently did that in the past, and it's just not actually how the number works out. Eventually, you would think if just 1% of the people bought my product, I would be a multimillionaire. And when you sell it, you find out like not even 0.0% of people actually bought your product. That's usually what happened, right?
Percent, that 3 million people to just 0.1% of the United States population, that is 300,000 people. That is 300,000 people that do not see any problem with the actions of this individual right here. And in fact, instead of seeing a problem with it, they actually support it. They are becoming radicalized to the point where they feel like they can openly make death threats on the streets of New York City and feel no repercussions, or feel that.
That's actually crazy. The fact that he can just do that on the street and nothing's happening to him, that's crazy. We don't want that to happen at all. Like, that police officer should be fired. Not all police are good, by the way. But that person clearly doesn't want to be there either. A lot of the police officers, I think, are not good police officers. I really believe that people in certain jobs need to fit the role of the job, right? The police officers, you see a lot of them are obese. And then you're just like, same thing in China too. You see them are obese, like, why are there police officers? Like, if they can't catch the thief, from a common sense standpoint, right? I mean, when you take on a responsibility to protect the society, you need to be in a physical position to be able to protect, Like, that's just common sense. But if you're afraid of everything, like all that kind of stuff, you shouldn't be in that position.
They don't even fear the police officer, for instance, who's right next to this person.
That's also why police officers have guns in America, right? Because it's such a violent society. And then a lot of times the criminals are actually really skilled. So you need some sort of weapon to superiorly, so you can like suppress the criminals.
Because they feel like they are in the right for doing that, for making a death threat. I think it's important to realize why this guy is mad at me. He's mad at me because I expose a widespread fraud across the United States. Fraud is in all 50 states. However, a large majority of the fraud is taking place inside these deep blue cities and deep blue states. For instance, Minnesota, California, and New York.
I don't think that's true either, to be honest. I just don't know if it's fully true. Because I don't think fraud is happening only in those areas. It just so happened currently one party is in charge, so they're leveraging the opportunity to fully investigate from a top-down directive, the opposition, which make total sense because that their incentive is to do so. But to say that, all this fraud is happening in those states, it's only because he hasn't investigated a fraud in Texas. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of fraud here because, literally, when I was in school, there were a lot of illegal students that were in school. They were taking advantage of the school system, So, and I noticed that when I was in school. I don't think that has been changed at all, right? So the fact that he's saying that all this fraud is only happening in the deep blue cities or states, I think it just so happened, at least the first case was happening in Minnesota. That's a coincidence. And then people are saying, investigate California, which makes sense, right? Because it's a big, big state. And then a lot of people who initially watched this obviously supported. It was mostly on one side of the party, and one leverages the opportunity to continue on. It just so happened the other side, quote unquote, the Democrats are not really happy about Nick Shirley exposing this type of fraud, so they're hating him, which is stupid in my opinion, right? Because if they're smart, they would support this behavior and tell Nick Shirley to expose the rest states fraud. Whether I think there can be a lot of them, because this guy clearly doesn't care. His career is YouTube channel. He just want to expose fraud. He's not taking side really. right? He want to leverage whoever is in position of power and give him money, give him more power, is who he's going to work with. And any common sense people is going to do the same. You know, I just think that the one political party is making a big mistake. Instead of taking advantage of this opportunity, they are afraid about the repercussions because one of their, I'm pretty sure, well, I wouldn't say that because that's irresponsible, but really is Minnesota's governor. I forgot his name, but he seems really fishy. And the fact that nothing has happened to him, like being investigated for whatnot, it's kind of crazy to me. There's no news about it. He went completely silent. He dropped from the race. You can't show more signal than the fact, yo, guys, I did it, but I have already sent a lot of signal to say like, I'm not going to be trouble anymore, so don't investigate me. I guess the case is because some people in position of power got involved and they're telling their solution is let's fight this guy instead of getting in bed with him. Because I think if the American Democratic Party actually got in bed with Nick Shirley and then start saying, hey, go investigate a fraud happening in the rest states like Florida, like Texas, I can tell you what, I'm sure he's going to find a bunch too. I just think it's happening everywhere. Because I don't think any politicians is good. Because politicians, if you think about it fundamentally, spends money. They don't make. They don't generate value. Elon Musk is completely right in this. That's why I dislike all of them. I believe the people in American democracy should be there to serve. And a lot of them came into a position already having money, right? Trump was one of them. That's why he was kind of welcomed for a lot of people. Because from a hierarchy of needs for humans, if somebody already has billions of dollars, gaining a few $100 million or like 10 million or like his salary was like half a million, or saying that he's making 100. By the way, his net worth dropped a lot in his first term. His net worth gained a lot in the second term because of all the business deal his family got involved in, right? And that's the topic for a different time. But the point is, he's already really rich walking into the position. So from a hierarchy of needs, he's now trying to aim for a higher desire, which is respect and leaving his name in history, which make more sense, which give people more of an incentive to believe that his intention is more pure. Although you can agree or disagree with his actions, but you can at least believe more than that he's not doing it for money, which most of the politicians are, because that's their career, that's their job. That's literally what they're doing to make money. And that's so crazy to me, right? Because America's supposed to be like democracy. And there's no term limits. There are only term limits for the president. What about term limits for the Congress people? None of them should be in there forever. The so-called career politician is such a crime to me. And it doesn't make any sense. Again, it's against common sense. None of them should be in a position to constantly make money off the American people.
Billions of dollars of fraud. And when I'm looking at these fraud cases, when I'm running the numbers, the majority of the fraud is taking place here inside these big cities. So I'm going after the largest amount of fraud. However, the thing that's interesting about exposing fraud is when I'm exposing fraud, I'm not just exposing the state, I'm also exposing where all of our tax dollars are going, because this fraud that's taking place, it is also a...
See, that's why the Chinese community, by large, support this guy. He's popular in China too. Why wouldn't he? Obviously, everybody's talking about all this fraud is happening because he's actually just doing videos. He's similar to what the Brick and Minifix drama is happening right now, right? They're just exposing fraud. And a lot of common sense people would support it because it's vigilante. And then when the justice system have failed, and when the American government have failed its own people to the level that it has, I mean, this type of independent people come out and do vigilantism. It's good, It's something that people should encourage, and people should. This is how American system is supposed to work, where the people hold the government responsible, right? Instead of having those people who are just constantly defrauding their American people. This is why I think a lot of them are just sheeps, which is so sad, right? Because why are these people constantly in power? But if you think about it, if people are not sheeps, and common sense people are majority of the population, and they can think independently and think in common sense for themselves, and somehow the stupid ass politicians are still in power, that can only tell you the voting system is a big freaking scam. Hey, it's a logical derivation of what we're thinking about, right? If you think about it logically in a line, it makes sense. The entire voting system is a scam. That's why everything should be on blockchain and then, really using Ethereum. Maybe, possibly, potentially, who knows?
A large portion of that money that's going sent to these programs is federal money, meaning money from all 50 states. That means
The reason why I was saying that voting need to be on Ethereum, on blockchain, is because most of the things don't need to be on blockchain because it's actually super clumsy. Because if I need to send money to someone, centralized agency like a bank, Venmo, PayPal, is actually much easier. But a lot of creations that's supposed to replace the centralized agencies is actually just unnecessary, and it actually costs more fees. Most of the time, if you want to send domestic money to somebody, the cash apps, all that kind of stuff is free. It's instant. It's fast. What's the point of replacing a problem that doesn't exist? But voting is actually a serious problem because they need to be treated with respect, and there's actually a lot of fraud, right? So what need to happen using a blockchain is kind of can bypass all this type of fraud because it's not trust, it's verification. The biggest thing about proof of work is it take away trust, which people take advantage of, and it only relies on something called proof of work, which is verification, which I think is very valuable. That's why I brought it up. And then, hey, there's certain things, common sense apply to every aspect of life, even though this is a financial book, but I think common sense still applies.
the top of the mountains in Colorado. That's all of our money. And so for this person to be saying that the fraud is not real because of the way I framed it, for instance, in the case of the Somalians in Minnesota because they're Muslims, why he's not accepting that the fraud is real is because it goes against their narrative about the fraud, which is very...
I don't know if that's the case. I think it's just that he probably involved in the fraud, like the only people who to be against fraud, realistically, is they're part of it. That's it. It's as plain sight as that. Like, why would you be against fraud? It's you and I money being stolen, and this guy's doing it for free to investigate it. Doesn't matter who's doing it, right? Like I said, if I think the American Democratic Party is smart, they should not be setting this guy as enemy. They should be working with him to investigate the red state's fraud, because I think it's happening for sure. I live in Austin. We've seen it in broad daylight, right? Well, like Austin is obviously, people say, are more democratic city, is more progressive, which is true. But still, nonetheless, a lot of, there are a lot of fraud happening from a day-to-day basis because we experienced it. People say the immigrant cannot work here, all that kind of stuff, illegal immigrant, is complete BS because we experienced it when I was in school. When I was in school, you can work only 20 hours per week. I was just giving you my personal example, right? And then you can easily get an SSN. That's number one, even though I didn't have a permit to work. As an international student, I forgot the exact process how it worked, but it's easy to get an SSN. And then the way to get an SSN wasn't as stringent as you might think. Anyone could have gotten it, because I know other friends in the school who are in engineering school. Their parents are illegal immigrants, and then they are also still in the process of getting the paper because their original paper expired because they came here as immigrant, and then they overstayed their visa, right? So they don't have a legal paper to work, and yet they can still get SSNs. It's really easy to do so. It's really, really easy to do so. And then we experienced it firsthand. We knew it was happening because we saw it with our own eyes, right? So this, I'm pretty sure, I don't know if that's true, but it need to be investigated, So to say that there's nothing happening in red states is bullshit to me, right? It's just not being investigated. But it also makes sense because one party has said this guy is an enemy and they want to go against him. And I think that's stupid. If you're smart, you would have worked with him and let him investigate the red states.
Very unfortunate because fraud is fraud, no matter how you want to put it.
True,
fraud is fraud. But this guy is extremely upset because fraud is exposed and it happened to make the Somalians look bad or happened to make the Democrat Party look bad. That's why this guy is upset. Now, after I had posted this confrontation on the...
I don't know why he's upset, bro. He's upset makes no sense, but people are upset for no reason nowadays. I mean, look at the video where the high school kid was just upset for no reason. I mean, he's probably upset he got caught, and then he's like, his mom's gonna kill him, or kill her, all that kind of stuff. Like, yeah, people are upset for no reason nowadays, right? For reasons that you and I will never know. They have their own objectives, but it's I don't think it's because he's upset. Chinese guy don't care about Somalians. All right, let's be real. I don't know if that guy Chinese or Vietnamese. He looks very, very Chinese to me because there are quite a bit of Chinese people here with the same haircut, but not me. But that guy, right? So. The same thing though, like I don't think he cared about Somalians. It's more just he's probably involved as part of the fraud. Because if trust me, if you know how to do the fraud, if you know that's just something that you can take advantage of, anyone who's criticizing this guy of doing it, exposing the fraud, right, will be doing it. Anyone who's praising this guy of doing it will be doing it, right? That's just human nature. It doesn't matter who you support him or deny him or you don't support him. If you know how to do it, you would do it. Most of them, right? And don't stand on the human moral pedestal and judge, because that's just what it is. You know, I'm not talking about like whether nice people exist or not exist. I'm talking about just human nature.
Internet, a lot of people started doing their own digging to see who this man was, and the guy's name is Thomas, actually. And Thomas has also made death threats to lots of other people on the internet. For instance, here's one right here where he says, "Get cooked" to this individual. And this man Thomas has also been a part of a lot of protests. Here's a photo of him yelling and shouting at one of the protests in New York City.
Yeah. So a professional agitator. That's why he was saying that. Go to any of these organizations and they know me, right? Yeah, that's not good.
However, Thomas...
Look how easy you made yourself exposed. Now everybody knows you. Now you're going to be in trouble. Now they're going to investigate you and you're probably going to be in jail. How stupid, right? Well, I wouldn't talk about whether someone do something is right or wrong. I just think you shouldn't be self-snitching. It's stupidity.
Sure, everyone had probably messaged him after saying, "Hey, what was that all about?" He actually deleted his Instagram. But what's interesting, Thomas has also made death threats to my friend Sweeney, who lives inside New York City. So he had Sweeney's email, and he emailed Sweeney saying how bad he actually felt about what happened. And this is what he said. He said, "I want to set things right. Please let Nick know that I would meet in person to apologize. We could have a good faith conversation where no voices are raised. It could be filmed or not filmed, but maybe we take this as an opportunity to make something where maybe we can make a bridge." Okay, maybe. So he's trying to build a bridge, have a conversation.
Because he understands his life is getting fucked, right? So just stupidity, straight up stupidity. It's nice of him to apologize though. That's very Chinese of him, you know, to be honest. And I do believe now he's more Chinese. Probably his family shamed him after when he went back and they saw the video. They're like, I don't know what it's. There's so many different dialects, and I can't see as a Chinese guy. I can't really do Chinese accent really well because I don't speak like that. You know, this is my English. This is how I sound. If I want to sound very Chinese, I think the best Chinese imitation that I heard was from Peter something. I forgot his name. You know, 3450. I thought it was kind of funny. But by the way, that's not Chinese accent at all. That's actually like not Chinese mainland, but it's Chinese Hong Kong, right? Because Hong Kong is part of China. So it's more Cantonese accent. Like, because a lot of Cantonese people, when you went to Hong Kong, they actually speak with certain similar accent, right? But it certainly doesn't represent mainland China or majority of the Chinese people. Chinese people actually, there was another guy who imitated better. It was like, "You don't lose face to our mother country." Something like that. I can't do it, right? I'm very bad at imitating, but yeah. He probably got shamed when he went back, which is rightfully so. And then apologizing is a good thing to do. So good job.
I'm thinking about it. And then he says, "This moment has been an epiphany for me. Outside the internet shame aside, I felt immensely upset with myself immediately after. I thought it would be a moment of catharsis, and I felt the opposite. And if Nick wants to file a report, I understand that too, but I obviously don't want to go down that route." Now, this man might just be trying to save face by saying that he's willing to have this conversation. I was planning on...
Nick, is saving face American phrase? I felt like it's more of a Chinese cultural thing, right? Save face. Because he actually just lost face for generations there. You know, that is embarrassing. Whatever the Chinese guy did there wasn't, I don't know, again, I can't confirm, 100% confirm the Chinese, but whatever the Asian guy did over there, that was embarrassing. That was straight up just big fat L, right? I mean, I think all his friends have probably disowned him at this point. Not a single person would want to associate with that. Even if you believe what he believed, you would feel embarrassed watching that. Because that's just shameful. That's disgusting, right? That's not how civilized humans should behave. That's more like a dog behavior. Even the dog didn't want to be with him, right? So it was just sad.
Filing a police report with this man, against this man with the NYPD, after he had openly made a death threat in public. I'm considering not doing that now and having this conversation with him. Let me know your guys' thoughts about that in the comments down below. But I am actually interested to have this conversation with this man because I truly want to know why these people think they can openly call for violence in the streets of New York City or openly say that people like me should be killed for simply exposing fraud. And
you know, I praise this type of gesture. I really think the result is frugal, is useless, futile, not frugal, useless, futile, right? You can never convince anyone. No one. Look at all those like Jubilee debates. Nothing good came out of it, really. Like it just made either side look at their things and be like, "Yo, actually, I'm right." Like literally what happened, you know?
I'm actually considering having this conversation with this individual. And now when this guy says that he's part of leftist organizations, that's also very telling about these leftist organizations that are being propped up here inside the United States, because what's happening is this silent minority is making a lot of noise across the United States. You're seeing protests nearly every single weekend by this silent minority. And
You know what? If this Thomas guy is smart, right? And he actually take this time to work with Nick. By the way, I don't think it's safe, but if they're lost security, they check him properly and make sure the security guards stay next to him. I would. But to have this good faith conversation, if you actually wanted to have a good faith conversation, and if I were Thomas, and I'm not stupid, right? I would come with the fraud I discover in arrest date and have this guy go investigate arrest date. That's what I would do. 100%.
these are the people that they are using to prop up and carry out their messages. Is it really is these radicalized individuals who are openly saying like there's no problem with political violence. And something that was super telling to me about this movement by the left, for instance, is when I went to the State of the Union. And when I went to the State of the Union, there's very few times when Republicans and Democrats come together on something. However, there was one time when President Trump said something and left and right both stood up. And that's when he says that we do not condone, we do not support political violence.
That's a rare sight. You know, we're so political now. I think at this point, just get a divorce. You know, like end of the day, the biggest issue is not about what they believe. It's just how the money was spent, because both sides is fighting for money. And it's our money being fought. It's stolen from us, and they're fought over how to spend the money. Because like, you can understand both sides of fundamental beliefs, right? The conservatism is just more practical, and then I would say the left, which is more progressive belief, is more utopia, right? Which is, by the way, I'm saying that because I'm lack of vocabulary. I would say I say that in a really good faith, in a sense of like believe in a very commonwealth future, like in a world where there's no suffering, right? Where the right is mostly just what's practical, how the world actually works. I think people are justified to have whatever belief they want, because it's just fundamental philosophy. The reason why U.S. is having this issue, from what I understand at this age and my current age, after living here for 20 years, 17 years, is that it's just how, end of the day, it's two couple that have different belief, but their finances so intertwined, you know, like, and they're all fighting for the same pot of money, which is such a sad thing to think about, right? Because there's no way for this country to be divorced again, right? It cannot divorce like a normal family would divorce. If they divorce, both sides keep your 50%. You do you, I do me, and let's all go on our fairy ways. I think that's fine. I think that's such a better solution, you know? Because two countries with completely different belief, core belief, just cannot be a country. It just feels so weird. It's constantly struggling. You know, where in the old days when America was founded, the founding members, the entire society, believed in a common core value. I think not until too long ago, it was still, the common core value was still there. You know, the debate was still civilized. And now it's just not anymore. It's just funny to watch. That's it. Nothing else. There's no civility in them. And then in discussion, in debates, is like in political campaigns, it's not about the issues anymore. It's all about just fighting who is more racist towards the other, or like, or at least try to pin, you know, the other side as more racist or stupid. It's never about the issues anymore. And then even after they win, the issues are not being actually solved, right? I look at my gas price every day and question myself, like, what, brother? Where's my $2 gas? I want my $2 gas back.
And everyone stood up except for a few individuals, and all these individuals happened to be on the left. And one of those individuals was Ilhan Omar. Instead of standing up, she sat down saying, and that says that she does condone political violence, that she does support,
by the way,
political.
I think we need to make a video about this Ilhan Omar person. I think she's such a legend. Not in a good or a bad way. I just think she's a master. Right? Mastering what? We'll find out in the video we discuss about him. But nobody know about Ilhan Omar in China, right? No, literally, when you went down to Congress level, nobody know. But immigrants here have a lot of opinions about her, and including me, who are now actually get to know her more, because we do watch more political things to learn, to think, because it's funny, right? Now you get into American culture, you're bound to look into more political stuff because they're on the news all the time, and then you happen to read news because you care about your money, and you just see them, right? So Maybe we'll share that sometime in another video.
Violence. So when you think about these people who these leftist individuals, these radicalized individuals are listening to, it's people like Ilhan Omar, for instance, who actually condone political violence, which is very concerning to think that you do have a small minority of people, even if it's 0.1%, that is 300,000 people who believe it's all right to kill their opposition, for instance, which is very concerning. It only takes one person to do a bad thing, and that's something that we're all forgetting. It's not just 1%, it could just be 0.1%, even if it is 0.05%.
Okay.
That is still a lot of people.
I
That's
think the message here is just we don't condone political violence.
what's crazy about what's going on here inside the United States with these radicalized individuals, for instance. Now let me know what you guys think I should do. Should I have this conversation with this man or not?
I think having a conversation is a good thing to do, but it need to be done with extreme caution. I really do think so, right? Like he has sent in a request and we answered. And this is also our opinion of him. I really think he need to be protected, but it's really expensive to do so. And this guy is really brave. At the same time, like he has exposed not the fraud. Like the fraud thing exposed is good, it's great and all that. But the idea, what he mostly exposed, same as Charlie Kirk, is freedom of speech in America is bullshit. It really is. It's a really sad situation that we're in, where people are just doing journalism and they're getting killed, death threat, all that kind of stuff. Like, it doesn't make any sense because what he's doing is aligning with our interest, you know? Don't you want more stuff to be discovered? Yeah, it's not in your favor right now, but you could easily turn it into your favor, as I mentioned, right? He doesn't really have any political leanings. Just go to him and be like, yo, bro, look, check this out. Did you see this governor is doing that? This governor, if you have actual evidence, you know, like, did you see there was this in Florida? I don't know. By the way, I'm just saying that. Or do you know Texas is doing this? Right? I don't know. I live in Texas, right? Can't find fraud here. I'm okay for it because I just feel like so much shit are going on, right? And when there's stuff like this happening, it's good. And common sense people support it. But anyone who either involved in the fraud or just plain stupid, plain stupid. I don't know. Leave a comment down below. Let me know. I'll see you guys next time.